ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿਲ ਡੇਵਿਸ ਡੇ ਮਨਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ, ਜਿਸ ਮੌਕੇ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਸਾਬਕਾ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਵਿਲੀਅਮ ਡੇਵਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਰਧਾਂਜਲੀ ਭੇਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ 30 ਜੁਲਾਈ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਲੀਅਮ ਡੇਵਿਸ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਜਨਮ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ। ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਮੌਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਈ, ਇੱਕ ਇਵੈਂਟ ਆਯੋਜਿਤ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਡਗਫੋਰਡ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ। ਤਾਂ ਡਗਫੋਰਡ ਦੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਭਾਸ਼ਣ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਿਲੀਅਮ ਡੇਵਿਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦਸੀਆਂ, ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਭਾਲਿਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਵਿਲੀਅਮ ਡੇਵਿਸ। ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਡਗਫੋਰਡ ਦੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਗਿਣਾਈਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ। ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਤਸਵੀਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੀਆਂ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਇੱਕ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਈ, ਸ਼ਰਧਾਂਜਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਵਿਲੀਅਮ ਡੇਵਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਭੇਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਦੇ ਕਿ ਵਿਲੀਅਮ ਗ੍ਰੇਨਵਿਲੇ ਡੇਵਿਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਨਮ 30 ਜੁਲਾਈ 1929 ਨੂੰ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੇ 8 ਅਗਸਤ 2021 ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਦੇਹਾਂਤ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ। ਉਹ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਸਿਆਸਤਦਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਭਰੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ 1971 ਤੋਂ 1985 ਤੱਕ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ 18ਵੇਂ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਦੇ ਰੂਪ 'ਚ ਕਾਰਜਭਾਰ ਸੰਭਾਲਿਆ ਸੀ। ਓਲੀਵਰ ਮੋਵਾਰਡ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਡੇਵਿਸ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਲੰਬੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਤੱਕ ਸੇਵਾ ਨਿਭਾਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਸਨ। ਤਾਂ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਨਮੇ ਡੇਵਿਸ 1960 ਦੇ ਜੋ ਵਿਧਾਨ ਸਭਾ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੀਲ ਤੋਂ ਉਹ ਸੰਸਦ ਚੁਣੇ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰੈਸਿਵ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਤੋਂ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਚੁਣੇ ਗਏ ਸੀ। ਤਾਂ 1971 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਰੋਬਰਟਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਦਾ ਅਹੁਦਾ ਸੰਭਾਲਿਆ ਤੇ 1985 ਤੱਕ ਅਸਤੀਫਾ ਦੇਣ ਤੱਕ ਇਸ ਅਹੁਦੇ ਤੇ ਬਣੇ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਜਿੱਤੀਆਂ, ਲਗਾਤਾਰ 4 ਚੋਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰੈਸਿਵ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਤ ਦਿਵਾਈ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 2 ਬਹੁਮਤ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਤੇ 2 ਅਲਪਮਤ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਸਨ। ਤਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਰਧਾਂਜਲੀ ਭੇਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ। ਇਸ ਬਾਬਤ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਸਿਆਸਤਦਾਨਾਂ ਦਾ, ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਸਮਾਗਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰੈਸਿਵ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਦੇ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਆਗੂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ। ਤਾਂ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਪੈਟ੍ਰਿਕ ਬਰਾਊਨ ਵੀ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ। ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਬਾਬਤ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਾਉਂਦੇ।
ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਵਕਤ ਖੜੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਇੱਕ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਰਧਾਂਜਲੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੋਨੂਮੈਂਟ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ। ਇੱਥੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਆਫ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਡਗਫੋਰਡ ਵੀ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਲੋਕ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਤੋਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ। ਆਓ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣੀਏ।
Normally we have formal events like this, protocol will give me a script of things to say, and when it comes to Bill Davis, when it comes to the great Bill Davis in Brampton, there's no script required because he means so much to this city. And there are so many accolades in his legacy that we are so fiercely proud of. I want to say, first of all, though, it speaks to the affection that so many people have in this province for the late Premier, that we have the existing Premier of Ontario making time in his busy schedule to be here to pay tribute to Bill Davis. Thank you, Premier Ford, for taking the Thank you to our regional chair, and of course Steve Payton has a very special relationship with the late Premier, and Bill Davis. Attention to detail for every aspect of this celebration of Bill Davis's legacy. I'd be remiss not to mention, it's nice to have former Toronto Mayor John Tory here. I know the Premier considered like an additional son, and so your presence here is appreciated. When you think of Premier Davis, of course, his legacy is one of the most proud in Canadian history. Creating the first Ministry of the Environment in Ontario, appointing the first woman to cabinet, some of the most progressive labour legislation in Ontario history. The fact you have labour leaders, even today, praising Bill Davis. You don't normally hear that from organized labour leaders, but he set the tone, the gold standard in public service, and of course his role in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. There's so much on a national level to be proud of, but in this city, it's what he meant to Brampton that counts the most. Here, he wasn't Premier Davis. Everyone had a story about the Premier who was fiercely proud of our city.
It's beautiful. You know, we wouldn't be the city that we are. We wouldn't be the province that we are if it weren't for the Honourable Bill Davis. You know, Brampton Billy, Brampton's own, but truly a guy that stepped up, showed leadership across the country, brought us a constitution, modernized our education system, built so many universities and colleges across Ontario, and a legacy that it was important for us to pay tribute to, and just a fabulous art piece. Great work done by the artists and by the city.
You know, this is such an important memorial because we are educating everybody about the legacy of William G. Davis. Bill Davis was the best premier, and he always says he loves Brampton, and he always talked about Brampton in our city. He did so much. He even appointed the first woman to cabinet. That to me is so important because we need to see governments be inclusive, and we are all taking his legacy and his lessons on how to be collaborative and make sure we're governing in a way that sees everyone successful. Now, I personally appreciate Bill Davis because my parents could have chosen any province to move to, but they chose Ontario. Why? Because it's this province that my dad was able to use his certifications to be able to work, earn an income, and look at the legacy that decision made. And I really do thank, Premier Davis for that. So I think we all have to appreciate the legacy.
It's a fitting tribute to my father in the right place in this city, and the only city where this should sit. He lived here all of his 92 years, and his father practiced law here for 33 in that courthouse behind you. And he would be so pleased to see how this has turned out. He loved to be the education premier, and that's why Educate, Inspire would mean so much to him if he were here.
What are your future expectations? You could see the monument here, you could see the growth here at the city of Brampton. What are your future expectations that we could see more growth here, sir?
Well, what I'd like, I'm speaking selfishly and personally, I would like people to see this monument and understand what kind of person he was, because the kind of person he was in part shaped by this community. It was a community who loved to give back. And if they come down here and are inspired enough to say, we should give back, then this will be a better place to live.
I have known, I think, the last 9 premiers of Ontario, and I hope 8 of them will indulge me if I say, I think this guy's probably the best. We're not supposed to rank them, but I think the reality is 4 straight election wins, second longest serving premier of Ontario history, a record of achievement that I think is probably second to none in Ontario history. A lot of good things happened on the 14-year watch of Bill Davis as Premier of Ontario, and so I'm very glad that there is this installation here today at Brampton City Hall, across the road from Brampton City Hall, to recognize him.
Bill Davis was the first resident of the region of Peel. The Davis family is the first family of the region of Peel. He created the region of Peel. He was our first member of the provincial legislature when he served all of Peel, went on to become the premier, and was known as Brampton Billy for all his life. He leaves a legacy like no other, and it is an honor that Mayor Brown and his predecessors would have thought so much that we put up this monument so he can be remembered for generations to come. Brampton has become, under Mayor Brown's leadership, one of the most exciting places in Canada. And the growth, the legacy that we see, I had the privilege of serving under Hazel McCallion for many years in Mississauga. Patrick's got all that energy and more, and has put Brampton on the map, especially with events like this. So the future belongs to Brampton, no question.
Well, I'm the Vice President at the University of Toronto and Principal at the University of Toronto Mississauga, which used to be Arundel College, which was in fact founded by Bill Davis as part of the extraordinary work he did to expand higher education in our amazing province. And I have to tell you, being principal at UTM, Arundel, is a huge privilege for me, in part because I feel like I'm honouring that Davis legacy. Every time I see our campus buzzing with 17,000 students now from every different discipline, it's so exciting. And so to be here today and celebrate through the message of education and inspiring Bill Davis it's fantastic.
This is what I've said to to a lot of people today. It's not about Brampton, it's not about Caledon, it's about Ontario, and it's about what he did for all residents of Ontario. But one of the things that I did learn today, he was the last elected official of Peel County that included Brampton, Caledon, and Mississauga. But it's truthfully, this piece of artwork is just something so people that are younger generation can learn, and then learn from his legacy and try and emulate that. It's not about him, or it's not about the individual, it's about the service. And I had the privilege of knowing him when he was here in Brampton, a lot of the Remembrance Day events right across the street, and he was the one that wasn't at the forefront. He would sit in the back with everyone else, and that's something that I take to heart, and it's an impressive legacy to have.
Well, I would just say that this is a tremendous day for all of Brampton. Premier Ford was there with our incredible Mayor Patrick Brown. And you know what they said? There's very few people ever in the history of Brampton who have made more of a contribution than Premier Bill Davis. So to be here as a part of that, my job is I look after William Osler Health System Foundation, so Brampton Civic, Peel Memorial Hospitals. And Mr. Davis was a tireless champion, raising money for the community, opening new beds, making sure the emergency department was working properly. We are all so much better for having known him, and we're richer and poorer for his passing, but at least we're richer to know that he left this great legacy of civil service for all of us.
Hello, my name is Xiaojing Yan, and I'm one of the artists who designed this memorial piece for Premier Bill Davis. We were inspired by his approach to leadership, measured, thoughtful, and collaborative. And the two words, inspire and educate, distilled the ethos of his legacy, and they are simple yet powerful, and easy accessible for everyone who doesn't know too much about his story.
Well, this is an extremely important day. It's Bill Davis's birthday. He would have been 96 years old, the longest serving premier in Ontario. But his legacy is not only in what he's done for this city and this province, but what he's done for this country. Bill spent most of his life across the street, and really was an inspiration for all of us here in Brampton. I've lived in Brampton for 35 years. I was Bill's doctor, and I met a genuine, inspiring man. And if you look at what the monument is about, it's about educate and inspire, and he truly was an inspiration to all of us.